We are going live once again, and tonight we are discussing the fastest way to get a job offer. If you joined the live last night, this is the continuation of that. We're live on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And I am going to take a moment to um, pin my email address in the chat. So if you want to email me, you can. I will be happy to take a look at your resume and help you get the job you want faster. So we're letting people come into the live. We are again discussing the fastest way to get a job offer. And if you have issues that have anything to do with you are applying for jobs, but you're not getting, you're applying for jobs, but you're not getting an interview, we can discuss that. I can tell you why. If you are getting an interview, but you're not getting an offer, I can tell you why. If you're being lowballed in the offer, I can tell you why. When it comes to the offer phase, how do you ask for more money? We're going to talk about that. Like, you should always ask for more money. Joshua says he has a second interview tomorrow. Any advice? Yes. Joshua, leave in the chat. Tell me what job you are applying for, and I will tell you exactly what you need to do for this second interview. I also want to know if it's a second interview with the hiring manager. If it's a panel interview, let me know what that looks like. C-Man on TikTok says, I have an interview tomorrow. Please tell me what kind of job interview it is for, and I'll be more than happy to help you to get past whatever challenges you think you might have with respect to that. Okay, so tonight we're talking about the fastest way to get a job offer. If you have an interview coming up, your goal should be to have the hiring manager almost beg you to start working for the company. I'm going to talk to you today about how to do that. Now, I've created a guide, and if you click the link in my bio, you can get it. It's called Never Lose a Job Offer Again. It's just $10. And it's exactly what you need to do from the beginning of the interview all the way through to the end of the interview to make a hiring manager have such a strong desire to hire you, right? There are some things that you need to do. And these are things that when I am interviewing candidates, when I am prepping candidates, and it doesn't matter what kind of position I'm prepping them for. It could be for director position or executive position. These are the things that I tell execs, VPs, warehouse workers, the whole 9 yards. Anybody that I talk to, I tell them this because I understand this side of the fence. Most people don't understand this side of the fence. You got this interview coming up. You don't know what to expect. I tell you exactly what to expect. And if you click the link in my bio, you can grab one of the guides. The fastest way to get a job. The fastest way to get a job offer. Never lose a job again. You name it. I have the best way to negotiate pay, right? One of the things that I tell people is when you are given an offer, you should always ask the question, are there any other incentives that are associated with this offer? I am getting so many testimonials every single day in my inbox, in my email address, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok from people who are listening to what I am saying. They are doing it. And here's the funny thing for me, right? They are surprised that it works. This is not a gimmick, right? I'm not trying to trick you into anything. How you doing, Aria on YouTube? This is not a trick. This is not a gimmick. I'm not trying to trick you into anything. I've been talent acquisition and hiring and recruiting for 35 years. And I know exactly what hiring managers want. Here's the funny thing. I've worked in all kinds of industries. I'm typing in my email address in the YouTube chat so people can email me if they need to, and I'm gonna pin it. I've been doing this for 35 years, and here's something that's funny. This is something that you don't know. I'm gonna tell you. Every hiring manager in almost every industry, they are all the same. They ask the same questions. They have the same rejections, the same pushback. They want the same things. All of them are the same, whether it's production and manufacturing, customer service call center, accounting and finance, IT, telecom, medical, hospital. It's all they are all the same. They ask the same exact questions. I have been hearing the same exact questions for 30 years. 30. Okay. And so when I tell you that these are the questions they ask and this is how you should respond, it's because I know what they want to hear. Okay. I know exactly what they want to hear. Well, Dan, why are you telling me? Because I want you to win. And one day I'll get on here and I'll tell you my story about why I am the way that I am. Rhea White says, are you still on TikTok? Yes, I'm actually on TikTok live right now. So if you want to check me out on TikTok, you can. But I'll tell you my story one day about why I am in talent acquisition, why I'm in recruiting, why I enjoy it, why I like equipping candidates. I'll tell you my story one day. One day I'll just get here and I'll just kind of tell you, why I am the way I am and all that good stuff. But I am for the candidate. I am for the candidate. When I work for a company, I am there to do a job, and I am going to do my job well. Now, I want to equip and empower candidates to get jobs because I never want you to feel like I felt, and this is just baseline. I never want you to feel like I felt when I was 16 years old, growing up without many resources. Okay. So that's why this is my calling. This is what I have been drawn to do, what I've been equipped to do, and what I've been doing for 30 plus years. And I'll do it until the day I die, because I want you to win. I want you to be able to take care of your family. I want you to be able to take care of yourself, live the life that you want to live. And I know all of the secrets. Like, you can ask for 10% more than what they're offering, and usually they will reach up to that. But most candidates, like 9.9 out of 10, never ask for additional incentives. How do I know that? I'm the one in our company that positions salaries. I do the salary surveys. I am the one that makes the pay requests, the pay range requests. I do research. That's talent acquisition's function. Okay, so Joshua says he has an interview tomorrow. Do I have any advice? So Josh, you are interviewing for a staff accountant position. In what industry? I need to know that. It's good. I understand what a staff accountant does, but in what industry are you interviewing for? Now, obviously, as a staff accountant, crunching numbers, balancing the books, all of that is important. Now, here's the problem that many staff accountants have. Joshua, I am sure this is not your problem. They are dry as crackers. They're just dry, right? They don't have a lot of personality because numbers are your world. That's what your world is. But if you can be a staff accountant who has a teeny bit of personality, likability, right? And if you're a staff accountant, obviously you know how to crunch the numbers, pull the data, show reports, income, expenses. You know how to do all that, right? And help companies position their revenue, their profits to make more sense, right? You know how to do that. But if you can have a little bit of personality, and I believe you do, then that's going to go a long way. A lot of times, staff accountants, when they get into interviews, they are really into the technical aspect of their job. And you need to know that. But the reason why they're interviewing at you as a staff accountant is because they already know that you can do the work. They've looked at your resume and they already know you can do the work. So adding a little bit of personality to your interview will be helpful. If you need help with your resume, I have pinned my email address in the chat. I will look at your resume for free. I get a ton of resumes every single day, right? 40, 50 resumes every day. And I look at those I look at them. Not my team. When you get a response, it's me. I'm responding. I look at them because I know exactly what applicant tracking systems are looking for, what recruiters and hiring managers need. Okay. I also found this out. If you want to purchase a badge on Instagram or on TikTok, you can do that too. So thank you very much. So my name on TikTok is Daniel Smiley. It's just the Daniel Smiley or Daniel Smiley. If you go over to TikTok now, you'll see me live real. That's a YouTube question. Okay, Zeke Jen says, what do you do when you are given 2 different locations for a live interview and they never clear it, but instead continue to give 2 different locations with no way to speak to anyone to clear it? Okay. That's a pretty inefficient organization. So you go back to the individual who actually is supposed to be scheduling that interview. And that's where you go. Okay. Now, another little trick is, I don't know how far apart these 2 locations are, but what you can do is show up at one. If they're like, let's say they're 30 minutes apart, you can show up at one location an hour early. If that's the correct location, well, you're good. If it's not the correct location, you'll have several minutes to get over to the next location. If no one reaches out to you. But ideally, you should go back to the person who scheduled the interview for you. That's either a recruiter or a hiring manager. And that person should be able to give you the correct information. If they are not, that is a questionable organization. Trust me. Okay. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. Mr. Green Chips, how do I get a city job opening? So here's the deal about government job openings, okay? Government jobs are taxpayer budgeted openings. And anytime you get any kind of a government job, there is a ton of red tape you need to get through, okay? And the process for government positions could be 3 months to a year, depending on the position, because it has to go through so many channels. Now, a lot of people like government positions because of the security, but there are a lot of hoops to go through, lots, okay? So there are a couple of ways that you can do that. Even if you went up to the government agency in person, they're going to refer you to the website to apply. And it's very hard. It's like Fort Knox. The best way to get a government job is to know someone who works there and they can walk you into the organization and through the process. That's the easiest way to do it. I hope that helps. If you have a question, leave it in the chat. So Joshua, staff accountant for a real estate development company. I used to be the talent acquisition manager for a residential real estate company. This company had apartments and they had staff accountants. And obviously if it was apartments or single family home dwellings, you're going to be responsible for helping them to keep all of the property finances straight. Okay. So if you've never worked in that environment, it's pretty much the same thing, right? There's income that comes in from those properties, and there are expenses that go out from those properties. As a staff accountant, and I don't know how much input they're going to give you, your job is to give them the raw numbers and potentially help them move some of that money around, make suggestions about how to move some of that money around, rob from Peter to pay Paul, if you will, if they're trying to do um, improvements. Let's say some of the staff accountants that were in the company that I worked for, they were doing improvements, so they took money from the construction loans they got to pay this, do that. So all of those things you'll be responsible for doing, and you just need to tell them you understand that and have a little personality and flair, not too much, to show them that you are a likable person. Okay, Lion says, I also have an interview tomorrow in Public Works with the city. What kind of questions should I expect? Interview is approximately 20 minutes long. So I don't know if it's an initial interview with somebody that is in human resources from Public Works, or if it is a hiring manager interview. I will tell you that 20-minute long interviews are usually not final interviews. Okay, final interviews typically are 30 plus minutes long. It depends on the level of the position. So if this is a 20-minute long interview, it is really a preliminary interview. Should be a preliminary interview. If I'm not correct, correct me. But what you need to understand, Lionheart, and this is what I tell everybody. Listen to me, everybody, please. The only purpose behind an interview is they are trying to gauge your likability. Now, what do I mean by likability? Ask yourself this question. Can I be in a room with this person with no windows for 8 hours a day? Will I be okay with that? Or will they annoy the crap out of me, right? I mean, that's essentially what likability is. Can you, there are some guys that I play golf with, right? I can play golf with them 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and man, it's an enjoyable time. And then there are some people that just, I'll be honest with you, they just talk too much, or they are just too serious, or whatever the case may be. They're just not a person that is fun to be around, enjoyable to be around. Maybe they're too competitive, right? So interviewing is the exact same way. They want to know they like you. Now, this guide that I created, Never Lose a Job Offer. In the guide, I talk about how to build rapport, like immediately build rapport. Now, how do you build rapport? You find common ground with the interviewer, right? So let's say that interviewer if is a lady and she has on, a cream colored jacket that's similar to what you have. Building a rapport would be complimenting her on that jacket and talking about, I have one like that as well. I really like wearing my jacket, or whatever it is. Or building a rapport for me would be like, yes, I enjoy playing golf. Oh, you are a golfer? What's your handicap, right? That's building rapport, finding common ground, because typically, if you can be good at building rapport with a person and find common ground with that person, they will like you more. They will like you more. And if they like you along with the qualifications that you have, then they're more likely to hire you. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, leave it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. Z says they use Robot Recruiter in a text. Okay, and so I don't know how to answer that. Well, I do know how to answer. I know what they're doing. It's a cattle call, essentially, right? They're just pushing out information via text to try to get people in and then do a pre-screen. It's what we call a cattle call. That text probably went out to a bunch of people and they want to see who shows up. And if you want to be one of the people who make it to the second round, then you need to be somebody that's likable, somebody that they like. Mom Duke says, what is the point of a phone screening? It's a time saver. Okay. So phone screens are typically done for pre-qualifying a person. And it's usually done by talent acquisition or recruiter. They're trying to find out if you're a person who, what they're really trying to find out is if the qualifications that's listed on your resume are your qualifications so they're asking you a lot of questions that are technical related that are on your resume. They're just trying to find out if you have the tools in the bag to do the job, right? Because it's hard to gauge likability unless it's a virtual interview via like Teams or Zoom, or an in-person interview. So that's the purpose of phone interviews. They are pre-screens. That's what they are. It's a get to know you pre-screen. And it's usually not the hiring manager. Usually it is somebody in HR, talent acquisition, or on the HR team. That's the point of a phone screen. Okay. Thank you for the question. If you have any questions, please leave them in chat. I'd love to answer them. Joshua says, correct. I have the experience in real estate accounting, but for a smaller company. Yeah, so you're just 2x, 3x, 4xing as a staff accountant. So the bottom line is they know that you know how to do it. You're just going to be dealing with bigger numbers, more stuff. That's all you're going to be dealing with. Okay, so you should be good to go. Yes, it's an initial one with HR Lionheart. Okay, good. Thank you for confirming that what I was saying was correct. I appreciate that. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Okay. Over here on TikTok, let me see if I can catch up with you guys and answer some of your questions. I want to make sure that I am giving everybody some love tonight. But if you have issues with getting job interviews, meaning you are applying to jobs, but nobody's calling you back, there is a reason why that's happening. There's two primary reasons. Number one, you're applying to jobs that are passive. Most of the jobs you're applying to, they're passive. Those jobs are primarily designed to build up a database. Okay, so you're not going to get any kind of response back from that company, from the database. You're not going to get an automatic reply. You're not going to hear from them in 21 to 30. If you don't hear from anything from them within 21 to 30 days, you need to know that that is a passive job opening, and you're probably not going to hear anything for a while. An active job opening is different. Joshua says, thank you for the advice. I appreciate it. You're welcome. I'm here to help and give you all of the inside information and all of the tea. An active job opening is different. When a job is active, meaning they are trying to hire somebody within the next 3 to 10 days, right? They want to get somebody offered in the background process, application done, they get you new hire orientation. You are going to hear from a recruiter within 1 to 4 or 5 days. You're going to hear something, right? You may apply today, and tomorrow they may say, hey, thank you for sending your resume. We'd like to talk to you. Do you have time available to talk to us in a day or two, or today or tomorrow, whatever? I have had recruiters call me directly. They see your resume and they call you directly. And by the way, let me explain to you how you handle that. If you apply for a job and a recruiter calls you to try to do a screen with you directly, what you need to do is you need to say, hey, I really appreciate you giving me a call. Can we schedule a time that's suitable for both of us to do that? Because if they're calling you, you're not prepared. You're going to do it off the cuff, and you're not going to be able to show your best side. I've made that mistake before. Okay. What recruiters who are experienced do, they know they are not going to get that person's best. So what they try to do is text or call to try to schedule a time to meet with that candidate so they can get that candidate's best. The only reason why we're calling you is because we've seen your qualifications and we know that you're a match for the job. That's why we're calling you. So I don't want to catch you off guard in the middle of Walmart shopping for bread and then ask you some interview questions and then reject you because your answers weren't, polished. That's not cool. You know what I mean? And so some recruiters make the mistake of doing that. But when somebody calls you, you want to stop them in their tracks and say, thanks so much for calling me. I really appreciate that. I know your time is valuable. Can we schedule a time that is more suitable for both of us? And it could be in an hour or the next day or that afternoon, but you won't have time to prepare so you can put your best foot forward. Okay? Now, if you're having issues getting interviews, it is probably because your resume is not attracting the attention of recruiters and hiring managers. If you are getting interviews, and I have spoken to several people today, they are getting interviews, but they are not getting offers. There is a reason why you are not getting an offer. it has nothing to do with, are you qualified? How do you know? How do I know you are qualified? Because they schedule you to come in for an interview. That means they looked at your resume. They saw it. They saw your resume, right? They looked at it. They saw that you had the skill, experience, education, and background to do the job. And then they want to call you in so they can meet you to see, not if you have the skill, they already know you can do that, to confirm and verify your skill, but to see if they like you. That's really what it's all about. They want to know if they like you. Okay? There are two primary reasons why people are rejected when they do a hiring manager interview. Reason number one is the depth of their skills listed on their resume is not accurate. In other words, you don't have the depth of experience. Okay? So a hiring manager will say to me, well, she doesn't have enough experience. He doesn't have enough experience in X. That's one reason. The next reason is the most common reason. Okay? And that is, well, I just don't think she would be a good fit for the team. I don't think, I wasn't really feeling him. I don't feel like she would be a good fit for the team. What is that about? It's about that manager liking you. That's what it's about. And that is the most common rejection that talent acquisition gets. And it is not something that we can combat. We can't. If your likability level is 0, and I know no one on this live has a likability level of 0, then it's going to be challenging for you to get a job. But I'm telling you this because that is the main reason why a manager would pick you. Okay? Tiffany Nicole, I believe that's bogus. Okay. It's not about liking someone. It's about meeting the company's goals. So not liking someone is taking it from business to personal. Now, Tiffany, thank you so much for that comment. And you can say it's bogus all you want, but I am the one that gets the responses back from the hiring manager. So I'm telling you, it is likability. And not only do I get it from hiring managers, but I'm a hiring manager too. I have a team of individuals that I hire for. And when I get a response, those are the two types of responses that I get. Okay. The response I get is the depth of their experience is not what is listed on their application or their resume, or I just wasn't feeling that person. That person wasn't a fit for the team. Now, it's okay for you to not agree with me, and that's fine. That's okay. Okay. And I'm not here to argue with anybody. You'll know I don't do that on any of my posts. I don't argue with anybody who opposes what it is I'm saying, because I have no reason to argue what I know has been the truth for the past 30 plus years of interviewing candidates and submitting candidates and hiring candidates, as many as I have. Because let me explain something to you, Tiffany, that is personal to a lot of talent acquisition people. We take pride. Good talent acquisition people take pride in submitting good people to hiring managers so that those individuals can reach the goals of the company. If you've ever seen any of my content or been on any of my lives, I tell you that a standard practice for my team is we send 3 candidates to a hiring manager for one position. Someone who is entry level, one is mid-level, and one is senior level based on what the hiring manager wants. And we believe, based on what the hiring manager has told us they want, they should pick one of those 3 individuals. We're not going to submit 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. That's a waste of everybody's time. 3. And we always get feedback from the hiring manager. Now, why do we do that? So we know that if they hypothetically, they don't select a candidate, any one of those 3 candidates, we know what not to send them the next time. And I have had people who have been supremely qualified, but they talk too much. So the manager didn't like that. Okay. So likability is a lot more important than you think. So thank you so much for that comment. So Tiffany says, no, not, you're not bogus. I just don't think that's fair. And Tiffany, you're right. It's not fair. And here's why. So you are digging into why I do this. Okay. Because you not knowing what is happening behind the curtains about why you don't get selected for a job is not fair. You know you have the qualifications, and it is not fair just because your personality may be overpowering the hiring manager, so they're intimidated. That's not fair, but that's what happens. Okay. It's not fair that a person is qualified for a job, but they have something in their background from 20 years ago and they're still judged for it. That's not fair. It's not. It's not. It's not fair that you are not selected for a job and you live 15 miles away, 15 minutes in traffic, but the hiring manager wants somebody who's 10 miles away. And you are more qualified and it'll take you 3 more minutes. It's not fair. It's not fair that a hiring manager might want to hire somebody that looks like them without telling us that that's what they want, right? In the staffing world, I would have people tell me they want people who are XYZ, and we tell them, we can't recruit like that. We can't recruit based on that. That's illegal. We can't do that. So we submit people to you, and you have to make a decision based on the person's skills, experience, education, and background. But they have personal preferences as well. And my job as a hiring manager is to try to understand that. And then if it's like totally way off kilter, to educate them on what is right and what is wrong. And if a hiring manager is doing something illegal, we take that up with compliance or HR or their manager or the director to get that corrected. But the reality is, this is what's happening. And it's just truth. So why do I do this? Because I want you to know. I want you to know the truth, I want you to know why these people are choosing to have you come in for an interview. I want you to know why nobody's calling you back. I want you to know that. I want you to know that there's a human on the other side that's a recruiter that does not have the professional etiquette to call a candidate back to tell them they were not selected. Because some of them scared. They don't want to talk to candidates that have been rejected or turned away. Because they don't want to hear what that candidate has to say. Because the candidate's going to say, well, why? And they don't have a reason why. They don't have an explanation. The hiring managers just told them they didn't want them. And they don't have a good reason. And for many talent acquisition people, calling candidates back to tell them that they didn't get the job is challenging. But listen, Tiffany, this is the real deal over here. Okay. On TikTok, Jay said, are interviews normally recorded by the recruiter? No, they shouldn't be. And if there's some sort of recording, they should be letting you know that it's recorded. Now, let me add something to that. If it is a Teams interview or a Zoom interview, typically they will get some sort of permission from you, verbal permission. Hey, this interview is being recorded. Are you okay with that? Right? And a lot of times they're doing that to make a comparison, to keep notes, because there will be questions that's asked they may want to go back to. Okay. Michael said, it's real out here, brother. It is. It is. It is real out here. And the reason why I do this, the reason why this is my mission, is I motivated by equipping you, the candidate, to understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes so no one can trick you and dupe you. That's why I do it. That's why. Because no one is telling you the truth. They aren't. I've been doing this for a long time. And I try to prepare candidates in the pre-screen, have sidebar conversations with them to talk to them about the personality of the hiring manager. So they can have success. That's why I do it. That's why I do it. Because guess what? You got to feed your family. You got to pay your mortgage. You need to pay for your daughter's gymnastics lessons, like me, your son's football practice. You got to buy him shoes. You got to eat. You got to enjoy your life. You want to go on vacation. Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to do that not through building some billion-dollar business, but by being an employee of a company that may be $1 billion. And you need to understand what matters to the power that be until you get in that position and you can start changing things. But to get your foot in the door, listen to what I'm telling you. Because if you don't, they're going to keep you on the outside. How can you determine likability in a phone screen interview? So this is how I always describe likability. Okay. I want you to think about people you interact with. Ask yourself this question. Can I think about anybody, one of your coworkers, think about one of your coworkers. This would be good. Somebody that you worked with in the past. Can you be in the room with that person for 8 hours a day with no windows and one door? Can you? There are some people that you will immediately think about that, man, it will be, I wouldn't have a problem being in the room with this person, working with this person. But this person over here, nope, I can't do it. I could think of 20 people that I would much rather have brief Teams meetings with. I don't even want them coming into my office because they're just annoying. I mean, that's just the truth. And I try not to be that to anybody else, especially my staff. I try to make sure that I'm somebody that they can hang around and be around. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Mark Creature Mendoza says, I have a third interview with the team tomorrow. Already met with the hiring manager. Any advice? Yes, I do. I talk about panel interviews. Let's talk about third interviews. If you've already interviewed with the hiring manager and the hiring manager has referred you on, you are 99% of the way to an offer. The challenge that you have is whoever you're interviewing with this third interview tomorrow, that person is the actual decision maker for the job, not the hiring manager. Now, why do they do that? Because the person that you're going to be interviewing with tomorrow they don't fully trust the judgment of the hiring manager when it comes to hiring people for their own team. So you're interviewing with this other person so that they can make the final decision. So how do you crush it? That your technical expertise has already been confirmed by the hiring manager and maybe somebody in recruiting. This interview that you're about to have tomorrow, this third interview, is a team fit. Team fit. They want to make sure that you're going to be able to gel, rock and roll, and fit in on the team, not be disruptive, that you're going to be somebody who can come right in and rock and roll. So likability for you is very important. So find something that you can build rapport with. If you see something on that person's desk that you can identify with, or they say something, maybe you're from the same city, you have the same interests. And that's going to boost your likability with this particular person. They'll talk to you about some of the technical aspects just to confirm that you have done and can do what your resume said and what the hiring managers already said you can do. But your likability needs to be way up there. Now, that doesn't mean being like me, going to a room, being all excited and doing backflips. It's mean building a rapport, being a kind person, humble person, honest person, open person, loving person. And I'm gonna tell you a real simple way to do it. A real simple way is this. This is the ultimate answer in those interviews. So tell me, why do you want to work here? I'm willing to do whatever it takes for however long it takes, whenever it takes, whatever you need me to do, I'm here to do it because I want to see this team succeed. That right there is really what every hiring manager wants to hear. Every director wants to hear. Every C-level executive wants to hear. Every VP, they want to hear that you are willing to do whatever it takes to help the team succeed, because the team's success is directly tied to their position success. That's what it's all about. They don't want individual players, they want team players. So keep that in mind as you go into this interview tomorrow. This mom here says likability, I guess. Okay. Listen, I promise y'all, I promise you guys something. I will not argue with you about what it is I'm sharing. I will not. And the reason why I won't is because I see it every day. I'm not going to do it. I love y'all too much. Not going to give you no pushback. Not going to take it personally. I'm not. I'm just not. I know what's happening over here on the HR talent acquisition side. I know what's happening over here. And because of all of the candidates that I've interviewed in my career, I understand what's happening in your life too. Calhoun says a lot of companies are also hiring internal, even though you may see the job posting. So let me explain to you what that process looks like, what it should look like, okay? Companies want to try to keep continuity. So keeping candidates that are already on the team and giving them opportunities first is usually the best way to do it. Now, the way it should work is you should open an internal post for 7 to 14 days and notify the organization and give people the opportunity to interview before you open the post up to the rest of the world. Now, there are some companies that do it simultaneously, okay? So they open up an internal post, announce it to the people that are inside of the organization, and they're posting something externally. And if they're doing that, it's because they're trying to find somebody fast. But if somebody's being promoted, that creates a vacancy, which should create another job posting. So no external candidate should be competing with an internal in-house candidate. It should never be that way. They should exhaust all of the internal candidates first. And if there are no viable internal candidates, then you go external. Companies that don't do it that way are inefficient, and they're not being fair to the external candidates in their process. I hope that answers your question. Just like when a first date doesn't text back after the first date. The sick J, yes. That is exactly right. If you go into an interview and they don't reach out to you, it's like you met somebody on the first date and you was like, oh my goodness, I do not want to go on a second date with this person. Yes, it's exactly like that. Thanks for that comparison. Mr. Clean, I'm starting my own business. How do I get workers? Okay. I would love to take this conversation offline with you. You can send me a message, email me a message. I'll tell you exactly what to do. There's a couple of things that I want to know. What kind of business is it? What kind of workers are you looking for? Is your business set up to handle that? You know, is it a person that's a 1099 person, a W-2 person, and what kind of person? There's some other things that I need to know, and then I can help you to begin to go out and use free resources to find the people that you need to hire. Okay. Did you enjoy interviewing all of those people? Yes. So I know a lot of people, when they hear my videos, they were like, oh my goodness, you could have interviewed all those people. See, they don't know my background. They don't know that I've been interviewing for a long time, and I have a set of pre-screened questions. I consider pre-screens interviews too, right? And so those pre-screens may be 15 minutes, it may be 5 questions, it may be 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. But when I was in the call center world, we did group interviews, 10 to 15 people at a time. Everybody was asked the same exact question. It would be me and another recruiter in the room. I would be asking the questions, doing the interviews, engaging a person's likability based on the interview questions that I have. Pointed questions. And I can tell in that room of 10 or 15 people who was going to be a fit and who was not going to be a fit. I'll give you an example. So I go around and I ask all of these people the same question. How much experience do you have as a customer service rep? They tell me, blah, blah, okay, good. What do you like most about customer service? They tell me. And then this is the question that's the separator. I never told people this, but this is the question that was separated. So are you currently working or not? No. Okay. Why did you leave your last job? That right there will tell me how that person is. And then it will really tell me if that person is somebody that is a fit for us or not. Okay. Because I need to know how that person is going to move. None of these people are prepped. They're not prepped. They're going to give you the raw deal. Well, I didn't like my manager, or it wasn't the right company for me, or all these negative things, right? And for me, that's an X. You're out, right? If you give me a good reason why you left the company, that helps me to understand how you move as a pro, as a professional. I would do so many interviews in a week that were group interviews. It will blow most people's minds. And I trained my staff to do the exact same thing. When you have to hire 3,500 people over a 6 month period, you got to be pretty good. So yes, I enjoy interviewing people because I like talking to people about themselves, their skill, what they like, what they don't like. The underlying reason why I like recruiting, the underlying reason why I like it is because I am most excited to help people get a job. I love that. Now, why do I like that? Because I don't want anybody to feel like I felt when I was 16. That's why. I'll tell that story another day. But I love watching people get jobs. And I have been born. I was born, well, not born, but this is my purpose, which is why I've done it for so long and why I still love doing it. There is no part of the interview process that I don't like. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm driven by it. Okay. All right. So yes, I love interviewing people. Love it. Okay. Millionaire Dreams. What do I say to an interviewer when they ask, why are you seeking a new job? Okay. So first, why are they asking you this question? It's the same question that I ask it when I say, why are you leaving your current job? Okay. That those two are the same questions, just asked in a different way. Why are you seeking a new job, or why are you leaving your current job? They're the same. What are we looking for? Okay. We're trying to see if there's some noticeable red flags that is an excuse that you will use that we don't want to deal with. What's an example? Well, I didn't like the way my manager talked to me. Or, man, I just didn't like the hours. Or, that company treated me like I was a number. Right? So these negative things. What's the proper response? You have to put a positive spin on it. Why you are leaving your current employer, it's because you no longer see yourself aligned with that company. That's why. You do not see a future with this company for whatever reason. Not enjoyable, whatever, right? You just don't see it. So the way you position it is, you know what? I am seeking to leave my current employer because my goals and values no longer align with that company. They are more in line with this one. That's why I'm here. That's it. Don't say nothing else. My goals and values are no longer aligned with the company I'm leaving. They're more in line with this company, and that's why I'm here. Don't say anything else. Okay. Jay says, change careers after 30 years. Is that seen as a negative to a recruiter? No, it is not. Here's the deal. The only thing that we care about is, do you have the skill, experience, education, and background to solve the problem that we have and need to have solved? A person who, especially if you're going into the same career, just maybe in the private sector instead of the public sector or vice versa, we see that as somebody that don't have to hold your hand. There's maturity there, there's experience there, you have a work history. That's a good thing. So changing careers, going into another career, there's underlying maturity, work habit, work ethic, all of those things. That is beautiful. Listen, one of the things that recruiters are judged by is length of employment for an individual that is hired by them, right? How long did that person stick around? Did they quit after 3 months, or were they fired after 6 months? Were they terminated after a year? I mean, whatever that looks like. See, our KPIs are based on quality and quantity, right? Quality of candidates. We want to try to make sure we want to select people who have a proven history of being with a company and will be with the company for at least 2 years. That creates continuity. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but we want to drive down the turnover rate to as low as we can within an organization. And I've done that particularly well with the companies that I work for. And there have been 3 companies that I've worked myself out of a job. I've driven the turnover rate down so low because of the quality of the candidates that they no longer needed a person in my position because we didn't have the same volume of recruiting as in the past. Okay. Okay. Eat that chicken, baby. Appreciate that advice, coach, from last session. You're welcome. You're welcome. Can you talk about federal structured interviews? So it's Sincerely Kayla, federally structured interviews. So here's the deal. Federal jobs, city jobs, they are all big and cumbersome. Huge, big. They're big. I mean, it's layers upon layers upon layers. An interview is an interview. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. Don't have an entrepreneurial mindset if you're trying to get a government job, because the way around in a government agency is slow as all get out. And so they want process-driven people. Point A to point B people. People who are the types of individuals that like to do things, not that this is you, but you may have to fall into this, who are okay with doing things slow and working with processes that have many layers. So it's challenging for a government agency to hire me because I am more interested in operational efficiencies, the fastest way we can get somewhere with the least amount of effort and money. That's what I'm interested in. The complete opposite is the government. Government jobs are the complete opposite. The slowest way to get there, I want you to think about this now, the slowest way we can get there with the maximum amount of money in the budget. That's how they think. So the other part of it is they value the strict technical aspect of every job and not freedom. Okay. So you have to understand when you're interviewing for a government job, even though you may see it as security, there's also some tight, caged in, locked up processes that you are, if you're not used to working in that kind of environment or don't want to be in that kind of environment that's very restricting, don't go into government work. So structured interviews are going to be seeing if you're the kind of person that fits in that kind of environment. I hope that answers your question. If you have a question, please leave it in the comment section. Margarita says, thank you, I appreciate it. You're welcome. Okay. I don't know what you say, you spell wrong. C. Newsom says, period. Okay. I agree with you 100%. Calhoun, thank you so much for agreeing with me. I appreciate that. Okay. So, Tiffany, I don't know what you got to remind me again what the question was because I'm getting so many questions. So what's a good reason? Okay, so Mom Duke says, my pre-screen is set up for 15 minutes for an employment specialist position. What should I expect? Okay. So most employment specialist positions are the customer service arm of the HR department. Okay. And the customer service arm of the HR department has, as part of it, an administrative arm. So there are two things you need to display in an employment specialist interview in 15 minutes. One, that you are a cross every T and dot every I kind of person, and that you love serving and helping people succeed in the organization. Those are the two primary things, because it's employee relations and compliance and paperwork essentially is what those two things are. I hope that helps you. One man for life. What about the organization is going in a different direction that you did not like? Plan your exit. Get your resume together and move on. Do something else. Would you stay on a ship that was sinking or going in a different direction that you wanted to go in? No. So I tell people, be smart about it, but plan your exit. Because let me share something with you. Why am I saying that? Don't be so loyal to them because they are not going to be loyal to you. The needs of the company will always supersede your personal and family needs, always. Don't be so loyal to go down with the ship. Take care of you and your family. I hope that helps. What are your thoughts about a person who stays in a role long term? Well, it depends on the role. A person who's been in a role for a long time in a particular position values security. Okay, that person, it just tells me that what they're most interested in is security and minimal change. So putting that person in an environment, in a fast-paced, ever-changing environment is probably not the best. I would not advise we put that person, because they don't like change. Okay. Now, a person in a position for a long time is usually good for like a government agency, because there ain't gonna be a whole lot of change within the organization. It takes years to get promoted and so on and so forth. So that's what that speaks to. You've been in a position for a long time. It's usually because you do not like change. Okay, you don't like it. Adrian, how do I get good employees? I would love to tell you that. Send me an email and we can talk through that. I need to know what your definition of good employees is, what kind of employees you're looking for. and I can tell you where to get good people free. Okay. All right. Thank you for your question. Millionaire Dreams. Thank you. Okay, Adrian EG, and the wage you are getting also. I'm sure you responded to something that I said, so thank you for that. Appreciate it. Hey, how do I explain this gap? What gap in employment? So obviously there are reasons, and I've done videos on this, but how do you explain a gap in employment? Listen, there are many times people are going to have gaps in employment. You may have gotten a severance and you were able to ride things out for 6 months. You had some choices. So if you have had, let's say, been out of work for 6 months, your last job was 6 months. One of the ways you can respond is, hey, I've been interviewing for many jobs, but I have not found a company or position that I was interested in until now. That's it. Don't say nothing else. That's how you respond to that. Hey, Daniel, this is Donald. I love your content. Okay. I'm not sure what Donald that is, but so thank you so much for saying that. So at the end of the day, that's how you explain gaps in your employment. Now, if there are other reasons why, medical reasons, whatever, that's fine. Or you came into so much wealth where you didn't have to work, or you tried to start a business, you know what I mean? All of those things, that's cool too. Just be honest about it. Why did you do that? Well, just be honest about it. And one of the ways that I tell people to respond is, I have made this mistake. I have learned my lesson, and I will never do that again. That's whenever you find that you can't have that is always a good way to respond to something like, man, I was out of a job for 6 months or whatever. I made a mistake. I did. I'm acknowledging that. I learned my lesson from it, and I will never, ever do it again. Don't say anything else. Just stop right there. Okay? Don't say anything else. Okay? Big Dog 013, happiness. You say you've been interviewing but have not found the right fit just yet. I want to make sure I'm understanding that in context. I'm not sure if you responded, but thank you for that comment. All right. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments. C. Newsom says, my role changes a lot, but my pay band a little. So I've shared this information with you. How do you ask for the proper pay? So step one, you need to go to Glassdoor, Indeed.com, or Google and find out the pay range for your position. Okay? If you, let's say hypothetically, you're a senior level person, you've been doing the job for 10 years, and you recognize when you look on those 3 sources that your pay is below what the average is in that particular market, you are going to go to your manager. You are going to request a market rate adjustment. I am being paid lower than the market rate, so I am requesting a market rate adjustment. Any organization worth their salt will want to give you pay that is in line with the market and your experience. If they don't, that may not be an organization that you want to spend a lot of time with. Okay? So that's how you get that pay adjustment. Why do people get nervous or freeze in an interview? So I've created a guide that is the secret to overcoming your fear, the fear of job interviews, right? It's a guide. If you click the link in my bio, you can grab that. Why do people get nervous? Well, there are a couple of reasons. It is based on fear and anxiety of things like they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know about the organization. They may be fearful because they don't know the person. they think that the hiring manager is in control, and I try to tell you that you're in control. You are, right? It is the fear of not knowing how to answer some tough questions. That's why I post all of this free content, so you don't have to do that. But how do you overcome it? How do you overcome it? If there is a question that is asked of you in an interview and you don't have the answer, it is okay to say, you know what? I would really like to think about that for just a moment. May I come back to that question? That's it. And it gives you an opportunity to think about it. Okay? All right. C. Newsom, my role changed a lot because of acquisitions, but my pay band is large, so I don't see a need to look for another job. However, sometimes I wonder when and if I do, would I be viewed otherwise? No, listen, you don't have anything to do with all of these changes within the organization. It was not something that you personally did. This is something that you can explain away. My position title changed because the company changed. My pay changed because the company changed. We were acquired by this company, acquired by that company, blah, blah, blah. All those things, right? Those things are acceptable reasons why it's okay for you to, have all of these differences. So people are not going to see you as different. I hope that's the answer. That's what you were asking me about. When do I tell my new job that I have a vacation coming up? Before or after I get hired? Always before. And be prepared to cancel your vacation if you have to. Okay? Because companies, there are two things that companies are leery of, and I've seen this a lot, right? If that vacation is 9 months out, or, the first 90 days of any new job, you're getting acclimated to the position and the team. You're getting trained. 6 months after that, they're seeing if that training and acclimation has taken hold. 9 months after that, you're getting a little bit of grace, that 6 to 9 month period, because they want to make sure that you're a good fit. 1 year, you should be rocking and rolling. Nobody should have to tell you what to do. You should know enough about what to do. So if you have a vacation or a break in that time frame, that disturbs that typical process. Okay. So before you get started on a job, if you have a vacation coming up, let's say you paid for a cruise and you cannot get the money back or credit, you need to be clear about that and let them know, and make sure that it is part of your offer, because you'll probably have unpaid vacation time at that time. Okay. And you don't want to go into the negative. You may have to go into the negative anyway, but you don't want to go into the negative, and you don't want it to be a surprise to anybody. Okay. I hope that answers your question. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments. All right. Yes, I was responding to the employment gap question. Thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me that clarification, brother. My ex-employer gave me a bad reference, which was a lie, and prevented me from getting employment elsewhere. How do I get them to change it? You're not. Now, many HR departments are afraid to do that, but if somebody has an axe to grind with you in the HR department, there's nothing you can do. Now, you could sue them, right? But they will win if what they're saying was true. Okay? That's just how it is. Nothing you can do about that. So this is Mom. Thanks. I wasn't disagreeing. I spelled likability wrong. I appreciate your time and information. You're welcome. And I hope you weren't offended. I hope I didn't say anything that offended you. That's not why I'm here. Big Dog, I think interviews going well. Also depends on the interviewer too. Yeah. Now remember, what is the purpose of an interviewer? An interviewer, hiring manager, is trying to find somebody to be on their team. Why do they need somebody on their team? Because they have more work than they can do, or a different kind of work than they can do. That's why they're hiring somebody. Okay. So, one day I'll tell a story about the military. First sergeant came to me one time and says, do you want your soldiers, he said this to me, I'll just tell it quickly. Do you want the people who are on you in your squad to fight for you when you go to war? And I said, of course I do, First Sergeant. Why are you asking me that question? Then he said this. Then Sergeant Smiley, you need to be more respectful to these people, right? I was just feeling myself as a young E5 in the military. The interviewer is trying to find somebody that's a match for them, and you're trying to find somebody as a manager who is a match for you. And I've worked for some people, it was not, their management style just, like I like freedom and autonomy. I don't like it when people pop into my office. I don't like that. Because my brain, I'm working on something, I'm trying to get something, and you stop, schedule an appointment, send me an instant message. Don't just stop in my office, right? So you're trying to find a match. That's what you're trying to do. Okay? All right. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments. Off the 15. Will a candidate come off as pushy if they DM the company that their resume and application was viewed? What's the best approach for the applicant? Pushy? No, I think you have a right to know, what's going on with respect to your application. So sending them a message, and I advise this, what is the fastest way to get a job? One of the fastest ways to get a job is when you have applied for a job, call the recruiter. And when you call the recruiter, ask them this question. Hey, I applied for this job. I believe I'm supremely qualified. I want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. Can you take a look at my resume to see if I'm a fit? And that recruiter, if they're trying to do their job, they will go grab your resume, and they should tell you. If they say, oh yeah, your resume looks good, then your follow-up question should be, okay, great. When can we set up an interview? So it's not being pushy. You just, and by the way, if I have 100 resumes to look at for one job and the top candidate contacts me, which means I have to look through the other 99 resumes, that makes me happy. That makes any recruiter happy because you helped us do our job, okay? Had a first interview, they said I would get a call from the director of operations. It's been 3 weeks and I left 2 phone messages. Should I move on? So this is what I advise. So I would say probably move on, go back to the person who set you up for the interview with the operations manager, or we're going to set you up for the interview with the operations manager just to be sure. The ops manager may be out for some reason, I don't know, but go back to the person who was supposed to set that interview up. But this is what I advise. If you have done an interview and nobody has called you back within 3 days, you're going to send them an email. Hey, just wanted to follow up. That, just be nice about it. If you don't hear from them within 24 hours of that email, you call them. And if you don't hear from them within 24 hours of that phone call, you get in your car and you go up there if they're a local company. Okay. If they're not a local company, then you want to call them. You want to follow the reverse. Call them again, email them again, and you want to continue to do that. And if no one responds to you, you're probably dealing with a lazy recruiter and a lazy hiring manager who doesn't want to tell you they're not going to offer you the job. Okay. So you keep calling somebody, you get somebody if you're interested in that job. I hope that helps you. Off the 15, thanks, Coach. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good morning message. I messaged you, sir. Thank you so much, Princess. I'll take a look at it. Listen, I care about your success. I want to give you all the tea, and I would love your support. If anything that I've said has helped you in any way, please, you can donate by giving via Cash App. Just click the link in my profile. If you have had you have a resume and you are not sure if your resume is positioned correctly, there's a winning resume template in my profile. Just click the link in my profile and grab it. It is a game changer. I promise you that. I am talking to people from all over the world in their resumes, and everybody from a PhD to a person who is working in warehouse, in accounting and finance, medical doctors, nurses, everybody. Okay. And I am talking to people from Africa to the UK to the Middle East. They're contacting me because this works. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm only trying to give you this side of the game. Princess K says she's a student in the Philippines, and you need to hear my words. I'm going to keep on giving it to you. I want, please be my speaker seminar about banking and finance, any topic. DM me and we could talk about me being the speaker, a speaker for your seminar. I'll be happy to do that. I want to make sure you guys are winning. I want to tell you exactly what's going on behind the curtain. So when you walk on stage in an interview, hypothetically, you know what to do. You are equipped and empowered and in control. As a talent acquisition person, I'm trying to recruit you for a reason, and that is because we need you. We need you on the team. That's why. And I'm trying to make sure it's a personality match with the hiring manager so we can have a team that's cohesive and one that makes things happen. I would love your support. Click the link in my bio, grab one of the guides. You can also leave a tip if you like. If you need me to take a look at your resume because you're like, man, nobody's calling me back, email me. I will look at it for free, and I'll give you my honest feedback. If you are about to do an interview, and I've had several people reach out to me today, I don't know, 8 or 9 people reach out to me today and say, I got an interview coming up. Can you help me prepare for it? Yes. Schedule a one-on-one, and in 30 minutes, you will feel like you're a Superman or Superwoman. I'll tell you exactly what to expect, depending on the job, what to do, what questions they are most likely to ask you, and how you can smash them in the interview with a pie in their face, right, with your answers. I will help you with that. Okay? So send me a DM. I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Email me your resume. I'll be happy to take a look at it and help you position it correctly. And continue to support me as you have. I appreciate that. We are at 90,000 followers on Instagram, 175,000 followers on TikTok. I appreciate that. And I will keep doing this. I will spend the rest of my life helping you get to the next level and yours. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.